Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my Moon Knight Episode 2 review. I'm not going to be doing any Easter eggs or things that you missed, because I'm not massively familiar with the Moon Knight comic. I'm just merely reviewing this as is, as a series, as an innocent bystander. And whether Disney Plus and Marvel are on the right track with things. I tell you what, Episode 1, I thought definitely showed, a lot of promise, actually, a lot of potential. I do, however, and I said in that episode review that I feel like maybe they, I don't know, kind of missed the mark a little bit with respect to taking it as seriously as they could have done. Because again, in all interviews I've seen with Oscar Isaacs, he's discussing, the exploration of mental health and things like this, and that element was actually played up for laughs, which, yeah, a bit of a shame. I really enjoyed this episode though. Again, just like I enjoyed the episode 1. Despite having that reservation. So, episode 2, what did I think? What do I think of how it's gone, where it's going? I do think the visual effects are a bit wonky in this. There's a lot of CGI outfits, CGI blending, and I feel like that's, I don't know, they seem to have dropped the ball a little bit with some of the CGI on this show. I don't know how or why or what's gone on, but yeah, they've definitely dropped the ball. So that's a shame, because a lot of the, like Loki, for instance, the visual effects on Loki had been pretty outstanding, good, movie quality. The visual effects on this have been somewhat off. Now, episode 2 was actually directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, both two directors that I genuinely enjoy their work, from Spring to The Endless to Synchronic. They are fantastic directors. And they just have a great eye for everything. They're very Lovecraftian with their sort of vibe in their movies. And although you don't get a feel for the Lovecraftian vibes coming through in this episode, they haven't influenced it in that way because they're merely directors. I do feel like they channeled more of the horror vibes into this episode than the original director did in the episode 1. Episode 1 was not, there was no horror in that at all. He got chased by a jackal, that was it. It wasn't particularly, you're not going to watch that and go, oh, I'm terrified. It was just a bit of tension. This episode brought in a lot more horror vibes than episode 1, so good Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead coming through there. And they also offered, I guess, a somewhat, it's all relative, because the pilot episode, episode 1, sets the tone for everything moving forwards, and every single director has to follow that. So they're not going to change things drastically, but there was definitely a subtle cinematography change. The way they frame their shots is quite different. The close-ups, for instance, where Mark is talking to Stephen in the reflection, and just the way the music came in, that set it apart a little bit from episode 1. Where they tried to do some of that, but I think the framing of the shots contributed in episode 2 to a much more horror vibe. Now, the story and where they're going with it, again, like I say, I do feel like they've done it a disservice, because I think that they could have done, a much better element of, actually taking the mental health aspect quite seriously, and they haven't done that, and that is a shame. But the story is interesting. I'm all in. I'm invested to see where it goes. We learn that Ethan Hawke's character was the previous avatar of Khonshu, now gone to Amit. That stuff is fascinating. I liked how he preemptively stated what Khonshu was going to be saying, despite not being able to see Khonshu. I thought that was both subtly comedic, but also quite compelling. It's interesting. Outside of all of that, the music was great. The action scenes in this were much, much better. Again, they were shot much better. So the way everything was framed was better. Some more wide-angle shots could have been used to actually give us more of an overlook of the entire situation. I think episode 1, what little action we did have was a little bit too close up. Ethan Hawke, such a great actor. Much like episode 1, showing up Oscar Isaacs in his performance. He is really, really a good actor. And such a shame that he's not in more things. I am, again, looking out for the Black Phone later on. But yeah, Ethan Hawke, great in this. Absolutely stellar performance. Oscar Isaacs did pull out a great performance in this as well. There was one major gripe I have, is when Khonshu's chasing Stephen down in the storage container unit, and he turns around and he faces off against him right there and then. There was a very strange freeze frame. Just a freeze frame of Oscar Isaacs' face. Don't know why. Really odd. Very out of place. And actually sort of... I mean, it just stuck out to me. It was very strange. I don't understand why. I don't get it. It was very odd. Very, very odd. The accent is still awful, and I've got to say now, because I've watched some interviews with Oscar Isaacs, because obviously he's been doing the rounds, the commentary from Mohammed Diab, the guy who essentially has been leading the charge with the directorial elements of Moon Knight, that director came out and stated that, you know, if you're going to shoot somewhere, you should shoot in that location and make it look exactly like that location. Oscar Isaacs has now revealed they have not spent any time shooting in London at all. So I've just got to highlight the massive rampant hypocrisy of the director, because, you know, well, I have to. It's frustrating. If you're going to do the PR rounds and state these kind of things, it highlights the fact that you're being a hypocrite, basically. But anyway, like I said, I'm genuinely interested in seeing where this goes. I like the fact that this is just its own thing. I like that quite a lot. And I'm looking forward to that. I think Marvel needs to do more. I think, you know, more series which are less connected. That would be what I would want them to do moving forwards, quite frankly. I don't want to have to watch everything to understand everything. I like the fact that this is its own self-contained little universe, little corner of the Marvel universe. So if you've seen it, let me know what you guys think. Again, some weird use of CGI where there just didn't need to be any. The accent's still awful. And again, overall, good episode though. So let me know what you guys think down below. If you are new here, let me know what you think. I can't see there being a lot of episodes left in this. I don't know how many episodes there are going to be, but it feels like they're churning through the story quite quickly. So yeah, interesting. Anyway guys, thanks so much for watching. Take care.